TRS clips. That one channel where you get to explore the unexplored realms of knowledge. How do we reach the deep state? We reach the Illuminati.
Yeah, sure. So who's part of it?
Yeah.
We don't know who is in these secret, but I know that there are secret societies. So you have to realize that, the Bohemian Grove was a secret society. I know the names of some secret societies that can't be Googled. So they exist.
Have you ever had an offer to join a secret society?
Next question.
Ooh. Okay.
How do you think Israel pulled off this pager attack on Hezbollah, right? So clearly, there are entire fake organizations providing, support for cell phones and walkie-talkies and things like this. So do you know who's written all of the software in your phone? Do you know whose control it's under? When you have a laptop, is there a plastic shutter over the camera lens? The little light that tells you whether it's on or off, is that hardwired so that you know when it's on or off, or can that be deactivated by software? You have no idea who's in your phone, who's in your laptop. You don't know probably who's sniffing packets on your network at the office. Look, the secret world is obviously there. And getting people to constantly feel embarrassed about wondering about it is fascinating.
I'm trying to think of a shepherd.
Yeah.
A shepherd, makes sheeps go in the direction that he wishes. So if we compare the secret society members to shepherds, where are they trying to take human society?
Well, for example, they tried to take Europe towards a United States of Europe in order to stop war in the European theater after World War II.
The EU.
Yeah, the EU was a very light political confederation. But the more important confederation was the euro. That was a hard currency, that was a real currency. So we allowed the states of the EU and those using the euro to issue their own debt, but we wouldn't allow them to print their own currency. That meant we allowed them to get into trouble, but we didn't give them the means of getting out of it if they got into trouble. And the hope was that we were going to force them against their will into a political union called the United States of Europe.
Keeping in mind that shepherd example again, what's the underlying will of the shepherd in this case? Like, what do these secret societies want?
Good things and bad things. One thing they want is that they don't like certain kinds of war.
They don't like certain kinds of war.
Right.
For example?
Well, so we're sitting here in Bombay. If there was a shooting war in which Bombay, New York, London, Berlin, Moscow, and Peking were all involved with hypersonic missiles raining it down on, some with thermonuclear weapons, some with biological weapons, that's bad for everybody. But they like some wars. They like wars that are far away, where they don't get hurt, where they know that you're going to have a certain probability of something happening because they can sell into that.
There's money to be made of certain kinds of war.
If you know that something is going to happen, right, there's always money to be made in rebuilding a place. So, anytime there's a conflict, the question is, well, we need to get together a multilateral organization to rebuild X. Or we have to get arms to the freedom fighters that we support. All of these things are knowable events. So here's a simple rubric. If some group can know the future before it happens, they can always make money knowing that. And if they can make the future, then they always know the future, then they can always make money. So that's the simplest rubric. If you want to figure out, is there an Illuminati, which is a terrible term for a serious concept? It's the people who know the future because they're making the future so they can profit on the future.
Do you think there are occult elements associated with the Illuminati?
Of course.
There are.
Yeah. I mean, these rituals, in part, what is the purpose of ritual? To bond people together. So, for example, if you and I go hunting together and we do something a little bit over the line, like we take down some big game with enormous rifles, we'll feel bonded to each other. We took life together, you know? Or if, for example, we hold some unbelievably over-the-top party like Burning Man, right? Burning Man's a wonderful example of something which is basically the occult.
Really?
Yeah, it's a visual orgy. You've never been?
No.
Oh, man, you should come. I've been once.
Hmm.
But you've never seen anything like it. So, you know, in part, just understanding that, yeah, there are always going to be bacchanals and Dionysian feasts, and these things, you know, are always going to then have a sort of edgy, pseudo-religious cult-like feature to them.
So this particular group which is in charge of the world right now,
Don't say it like that, because there are multiple groups.
Some of the most powerful of these groups.
Right.
How long do you think they've been around?
Different. I mean, I know one that's been around, I think, since the 50s.
Okay.
So I can say what its founding is, you know?
Are there any that have been around for like hundreds of years?
Undoubtedly.
Thousands?
We don't know.
Okay.
I mean, look, the Catholic Church has been around for a very long time. You can look at all of its different offshoots. You know, they're the lay societies, they're the priestly orders, the monastic orders. So the Catholic Church is an excellent example of something that we know has been there for a very long time.
These powerful groups today, do they decide who becomes famous and who becomes rich?
Sometimes. Somewhat.
In some cases.
Yeah.
Which musicians get quick success?
Well, I should ask you, Ranveer. You
Sure.
seem to be like the biggest of the podcasters. Were you organic?
Yes.
How do we know?
Uh,
How do we know that there wasn't a secret meeting in Hyderabad that decided to put you on top of the YouTube pile?
I feel like the Illuminati may not be as active in India because I've never had an offer to join a secret society.
Really?
Yeah.
But if you were a member of a secret society, wouldn't you say exactly that?
I would.
Yes.
But I'm also super vulnerable with my audience. So.
But wouldn't that be like you're this clean, fresh-faced guy?
I'm the ideal candidate.
Yeah. Right? So in other words, what I'm drawing you into is it's a no-win situation. If you deny that you're part of it, then clearly you're part of it because that's what you would say. So I'm trying to be responsible and hit a middle road. Yes, these societies exist. They may be less powerful than you'd think. I don't think that there's one. They've been around for different lengths of time. Sometimes they have a fearsome reputation. They can't actually do anything. Sometimes you've never heard of them and they're incredibly powerful.
You know, this is one of the most nuanced explanations of the Illuminati that I've heard. I love this topic.
Well, because we know it's out there. And it's not one thing.
Do you think they like Joe Rogan?
It's a really good question. I would say you've seen suddenly, look, one of the things that's fascinating is that the world will suddenly turn on an individual. I've had this happen. So I have a hate community that follows me around. And everything I do, all they do is say, my God, this is the worst person on earth. Why does anyone listen to him? Right? Is that organic? Is it partially organic? I don't know. They seem to have a lot of time on their hands and they're very, very motivated. So Joe has been canceled multiple times and it's just never worked. So when the world turns on you, that's a very powerful thing. And I've definitely seen coordinated attempts to destroy people. I don't know if you know about journalist.
I don't know, but I feel like it happened to me this year. So
What?
I feel like this is exactly what happened this year. It was a coordinated situation.
Yeah. So this is the thing, is that you do something wrong and then the response is totally exaggerated.
That's what I feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've been through that. Right.
And we're not the first or the last people to go through this.
And you'll go through it multiple times.
Hmm.
You'll come to understand that you cannot control that you are a character in other people's stories.
But I wonder why target podcast hosts.
Are you kidding me?
Because they shape opinion?
I want you to think about how terrifying what you and I are doing right now actually is. We're having a conversation somewhere in Bombay where nobody can control what it is that we're saying. And when you hit send, it gets published on a channel. Your YouTube channel is over 10 million. Wouldn't you think that would be scary to anybody trying to direct a story? I think you have no idea how powerful you are, Ranveer. Yeah, you're the perfect target. Joe is the perfect target. Everybody who gets to this position. Yeah, none of these people have figured out just how powerful they are. As soon as you start trying to tell a story that is different from an official story or different from one of these groups that I don't love using the word Illuminati, but you've chosen it. Yeah, suddenly your life will go wrong.
You know, when you play like a video game, there's side quests, but then there's also main quests.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like some of the main quests for key members of these secret societies are related to the world of geopolitics.
Yeah.
Because effectively, there's a lot of money to be made from global conflict because of everything you explained. And I also feel that to specifically answer that question about why Joe Rogan is targeted or why I got targeted this year, I personally feel it's because I went a little too deep into the world of geopolitics.
I think that's probably true. And the longer you stay in this thing, the more times you will be canceled.
It's a bullet you need to be willing to bite.
You've lost control over your life. You just don't know it yet. But you also have a measure of control that they don't control yet. So right now, you're in the middle of a narrative war, an informational war. And you're a leading player. And mostly, to be entirely honest, you're not bothering anybody.
How does one bother the world order?
Well, there's an old quote, very beautiful. I think the guy's name is French theorist, maybe Renan, which is, a nation is defined to be a group of people who have agreed to forget something in common.
Yeah. Wow.
So what has India agreed to forget? Right? So when Gandhi chose Hindi, he forgot the South. Right? So you travel in Tamil Nadu or Kerala, and those people say, I don't really know Hindi. They could learn it. They don't want to. Maybe the idea is that we chose to forget Hindustan because the Hindu nature of India was not part of the sort of plan in the late 40s. It was supposed to be a secular, multicultural society which didn't have a Hindu substrate. So these are like the dangerous things that you could start talking about. You could start talking about communalism. You could start talking about language. You could start talking about inequality, corruption. You could start talking about the fact that very powerful people are suddenly targeted and their names turned to mud overnight. And you could get really interested in how the press works. Yeah. I mean, look, if you want to cause trouble in India, let me know. I'll tell you how to do it. But I'm going to get myself the heck out of the country before you start.
I meant causing trouble on a global level.
Yeah, well, but India's a much more powerful player on a global level than she likes to admit. If you want to do it on a global level, then the first thing you have to do is you have to connect to UK podcasts, US podcasts. What are the podcasts in our network? Like, I mean, look, it's a little bit odd that I'm doing this podcast and I've done 5 Indian podcasts. It's crazy that we aren't more networked, and it's dangerous that we aren't more networked. We need to know each other. This is our first time, the first day that you and I have met. I mean, we've interacted before, but my feeling is that you essentially live in an ecosystem that my friends are unaware of.
Thank you for consuming this clip, दोस्तों. अगर ऐसे ही और clips explore करने हैं तो इस channel के playlists को ज़रूर explore करना.